This wasn't just a final. It was the moment Paris Saint-Germain shattered every doubt, every fear, and the heavy shadow of their past to finally conquer Europe. A night in Munich lit by flares, tears, and redemption, where Les Parisiens dismantled Inter Milan in an unforgettable 5-0 victory. And the most stunning part? This wasn't the work of superstar veterans. It was a masterclass orchestrated by a new generation, young, hungry, and tactically mature. Names like Désiré Doué and Senny Mayulu, once seen as post-Mbappé backups, now etched themselves into club folklore. And behind it all stood Luis Enrique, the architect who once led Barcelona to glory, now crafting a new legacy with a squad still in transition. From the first whistle, the Allianz Arena never felt like neutral ground. If anyone had expected a tight chess match between two tacticians or a dramatic end-to-end goal fest like Champions League finals of the past, they were quickly left stunned. PSG didn't just beat Inter, they overwhelmed them with near-total control. Just 12 minutes in, the breakthrough came. Vitinha sliced through Inter's backline with a pinpoint-through ball. Doué, breaking into the box, chose precision over glory, squaring it calmly for Hakimi to tap into an empty net. No wild celebrations, no drama. Just a nod to the job still to be done. 8 minutes later, it was 2-0. A lightning-quick counter from the left saw Dembélé switch the tempo with a clever ball to Doué. The 19-year-old's shot took a deflection off DiMarco and spun past Sommer. Lucky? Perhaps. But luck tends to follow those who never stop pressing. After halftime, Inter tried to respond. They had a brief spell of possession, but no real threat. And just when it looked like they might find a way back, PSG struck the killer blow. In the 63rd minute, a tidy build-up down the right saw Vitinha escape the press and slip in Doué once more. No touch to settle, just a ruthless low drive to the near post. Cold, clinical, world-class, 3-0, and the Italian giants collapsed from there. 10 minutes later, Kvaratskhelia joined the party. Latching onto a line-breaking pass from Dembélé, the Georgian winger surged into the box and fired a left-footed strike into the near corner. Inter's defense could only turn and watch. 4-0, and the PSG fans erupted in celebration. But they weren't done yet. With the game long sealed, Luis Enrique brought on more youth, not to run down the clock, but to keep attacking. In the 86th minute, a rapid central transition found Senny Mayulu. The 18-year-old took a sharp touch and unleashed a rocket off the post and in. He fell to the turf, hands on his head in disbelief. A teenager, scoring in a Champions League final. 5 goals. No response. A scoreline for the ages. PSG didn't just win, they won like true champions. That night in Munich wasn't a football match. It was a coronation, powerful, emotional, and thoroughly deserved. The stats told the same story. 23 shots, 8 on target, 8 big chances created, and 59% possession. Inter? Just 2 shots on goal. Barely a whisper from a side that had reached 2 of the last 3 finals. Not once did Donnarumma face a truly dangerous moment. And yet, perhaps the biggest factor was mental. Inter arrived in Munich exhausted, having lost the Serie A title in stoppage time and been knocked out of both the Coppa Italia and the Supercoppa by AC Milan. They looked drained. Coach Simone Inzaghi cut a frustrated figure on the touchline, even earning a yellow card for dissent. A stark contrast to the calm, focused presence of Luis Enrique. Even stars like Calhanoglu and Barella looked lost. Lautaro and Thuram barely touched the ball. Defenders like DiMarco and Pavard were left exposed again and again by PSG's pace and precision. When the referee blew for full time, without a single second of added time, it felt like an act of mercy. Everyone, including Istvan Kovac, knew Inter had been finished long before the 90th minute. If Paris Saint-Germain was once seen as a team built around Kylian Mbappé, then this final was the ultimate rebuttal to that belief. They didn't need a superstar, a global icon, or a single face to carry them. On this unforgettable night, PSG delivered a performance that will be talked about for years, led not by fame, but by unity, youth, and a hunger that burned in every moment as if it were the last game of their lives. At the heart of it all stood one name, Désiré Doué. Just 2 days shy of his 20th birthday, he played with the poise of a seasoned veteran. 2 goals, 1 assist. And in doing so, he became the youngest player in Champions League history to produce such a stat line in a final. His second goal, a ruthless near-post strike to make it 3-0, didn't just seal the result. It broke Inter's spirit. But Doué wasn't playing for headlines. He swapped flanks with Ousmane Dembélé effortlessly, connected with midfielders like they shared one mind, and pressed the moment PSG lost the ball. Every decision was precise. No flair for flair's sake. Just purpose. Just impact. When he walked off to a roaring ovation, you knew something special had happened. On the opposite wing, Dembélé had one of his finest performances in a PSG shirt. He didn't score, but contributed 2 assists, led every counter-attack, and tormented Inter's back 3 by constantly dragging them out of shape. This was a more mature Dembélé, less flashy than his Barcelona days, but far more strategic, far more complete. In midfield, Vitinha was the quiet architect, while João Neves completed every single pass in the first half and ended the tournament as the leader in tackles with 57. At the back, William Pacho was rock solid, neutralizing Thuram and blocking a dangerous close-range shot just before halftime. And then there was Marquinhos, over 450 matches for PSG, and finally he lifted the Champions League trophy as captain. And let's not forget Senny Mayulu, 18 years old, coming off the bench and scoring PSG's 5th goal. As he dropped to his knees, clutching his head in disbelief, tears in his eyes. It was a moment no one watching will ever forget. But when every individual plays beyond expectations, and when the collective functions like a perfectly tuned machine, the biggest credit often lies not on the pitch, but on the sidelines. Luis Enrique didn't just manage a match, he orchestrated a masterpiece. This club has lived through nightmares in Europe. The 6-1 collapse at Camp Nou in 2017, the Real Madrid comeback in 2022, the 2020 final loss to Bayern. Time and again, the message seemed clear. Paris Saint-Germain was not built to win the Champions League. They had money, fame, superstars, but no backbone, no collective strength. That began to change the moment Luis Enrique took over. He didn't try to stitch together another Galactico side. He built a team rooted in tactical structure, youth development, and smart rotation. And now, the 2025 Champions League title is the ultimate reward for that vision. It's Enrique's 2nd European crown. The first came in 2015 with a Barcelona side powered by Messi, Neymar, and Suarez at their peak. But this was different. There was no Messi, no Xavi. Instead, a 19-year-old Doué, an 18-year-old Mayulu, a 20-year-old João Neves, and newcomers like Kvaratskhelia, still adapting to French football. This wasn't a team of stars. It was a star of a team. Most importantly, Luis Enrique gave PSG something they never had: identity. They're young, energetic, fearless, but composed, cohesive, mature beyond their years. Luis Enrique didn't just win the Champions League for Paris. He won it for himself, for his family, and most of all, for his daughter, Zana, the little girl he lost in 2019 to a rare illness at just 9 years old. Ahead of the 2024-25 final, Enrique wore a special shirt. It showed a cartoon of him and Zana, a memory from 2015, when she ran onto the pitch after Barca's Champions League win, planting a flag beside her father. 10 years later, that moment lived again, this time with a PSG flag. Zana wasn't there, but in Enrique's heart, she never left. This win went beyond football. It was the triumph of a father who endured unimaginable loss and kept going. Through football, he honored her, inspired others, and found strength. After the final whistle, Enrique paused before the celebrations. With tears in his eyes, he whispered, "She's always with me." 5 words, endless emotion. High in the Allianz Arena, PSG fans paid tribute too, a giant banner showing Enrique and Zana planting the PSG flag together. as if she was still there. And maybe, in spirit, she truly was. This wasn't just a title, it was a story of love, memory, and the unbreakable human spirit. And then there's the story everyone was thinking. Kylian Mbappé, who left PSG last summer for Real Madrid, chasing the Champions League dream. And yet, in the very first season without him, Paris finally climbed the mountain, while Madrid were knocked out by Arsenal in the quarterfinals. It's not a slight against Mbappé, but it is proof that PSG no longer needed to live in the shadow of one man. They had finally grown into something greater. That 5-0 demolition of Inter wasn't just a final. It was the culmination of a project, a victory not of individuals, but of ideas. It was proof that success doesn't come from chasing glory, but from building something strong enough to earn it. And on that historic night in Munich, the names once seen as unknowns became legends.